this taken care of. Let's get down to the business of the NFL. So, the Ravens, we know the schedule, we know what's going to happen, but what is the record going to be for the Ravens here? Okay, so Baltimore Ravens are going to play 17 games. I think the league is going to go to 18 games. I know Roger Goodell has been wanting to go to 18 games for a long time. The networks, he just that's what the networks want. They want 18 games. They wanted it for a while. Players Union for a while stopped it because they were getting a lot, especially defensive players were getting fined, and you kept saying player safety was the reason they were getting fined. So they said, no, we're not going to play more games. You're worried about my safety. We're not going to play more games. Now that's kind of cooled off. They're getting what they want. 17, soon it's going to be 18 games. So this season, the 2024 season, 17 games again. So the Ravens are going to go ahead and play 17 games. We're going to look at the schedule and predict the games. We're going to do a little predictions here as far as how the Ravens are going to do this year. Week one, I like them in Kansas City. I think Kansas City did lose the first game last year as well on the opening. I think the Ravens are definitely motivated. They want to send a message. They want to send a message early. I think KC, they might be a little bit off early too. So I think they may not have Rashid Rice, who is injured, who might be got himself suspended, get himself some trouble. Xavier Worthy is still a rookie and playing in his first game. They do have Kelsey and all that, etc. They did, but I like the Ravens in their first game. I think they'll have more continuity on offense. I like the Ravens in their first game. Definitely like the Ravens in the second game against the Las Vegas Raiders. That's my dad's favorite team. I say that. The Raiders. He absolutely loved the Raiders. The Raiders don't have a quarterback. I don't think they can do much with the Ravens defense here. I think whoever it is, I think they got Gardner Minshew, which I think is a great glue guy for any team. They want, I'm sure, Aiden O'Connell to start. They like to see if he can go ahead and be their quarterback of the future. They kind of were stuck with it. They kind of couldn't draft with so many quarterbacks getting drafted in the first round. They kind of struck out on the free agents. They kind of went early. So I think that's the route they're going to go. I don't think they're still Ravens shouldn't have a problem winning that in their first home game. Dallas has never beat the Ravens. I don't think. I don't think they are this year either. The Cowboys and Ravens. You're going to hear that all week, I'm sure. Big game on Fox 405 there. They've never beat the Ravens, I don't think. I don't think they do it this year either. I think the Ravens have too much physicality for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to regress a bit. Dak Prescott, what's going to happen with his contract at the end of the season? CeeDee Lamb, does he actually play at the beginning? Maybe some issues there. The offensive line maybe taking a step back. And I think the defense, you got to really ask some real questions. Tavon Diggs last year injured. You don't have Stephon Gilmore. I don't think again, more continuity here early. I like the Ravens in Dallas. I think this will be a barn burner and this will be a close game. Jim Ross, slobber knocker of a game. Two physical teams. This is two sluggers here. George Foreman versus Joe Frazier. Throw a lot of wild punches here. I think that's absolutely what you're going to get here. I like the Ravens winning in a close game at home. Josh Allen throws the ball away too much in close games. I think this is why I put that on a post this week. Why do people think that Josh Allen is better than Lamar Jackson? I don't understand that. I think Lamar is clearly in the number 2 position in the NFL behind Pat Mahomes as far as a quarterback. I definitely believe that. And I think Josh Allen is going to throw the ball away here in a big game. And that's going to matter. This game is going to be close. I think this is going to be like in the 30s. I think there's going to be offense on both sides. A lot of smash mouth, a lot of fights, a lot of flag. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. I think the Ravens win this game. I don't think they win this game in Cincinnati. Um, Cincinnati is going to be really motivated. They usually don't do as well in Cincinnati. Uh, I think I like the Bengals here in this game if Joe Burrow is healthy. I would say though they were fairly impressive with Browning at the helm late last year. Even in spite of that, I think it had it not been for the Browns and Joe Flacco saving the day for them, they could have been a playoff team even without Joe Burrow. I don't know if they'd have how far they would have gotten, but I definitely think that was certainly a possibility for them. So I definitely think the Bengals win that game. I think the Bengals defense, though, is still a question for me. I don't know how good the defense is anymore. They did go ahead and go out and get Geno Stone, and they did go ahead and re-sign Von Bell. I think that's going to help them a little bit. It's been a bit of a weakness, though, for a while for them. Uh, Definitely, this is a W against the W. The helmet, the Washington Commanders. Um, Commanders are just building at this point. Not a lot there. See how good Jane Daniels is, how well he starts. Hopefully, he's on his way to being productive. Um, don't think a rookie quarterback's going to come in here and be. I think there's a lot of holes in their roster. I know their defense should be better with Dan Quinn as the coach, though. I do think that. I do think they're at least going to get that side of the ball a little more solidified. They've had a lot of issues, but I think they're definitely going to try that. They have good tackles there. It'd be harder to run the ball. Tampa Bay uh, as well. I think you should be Tampa Bay. I definitely think you should be Tampa Bay. Tampa, I don't think is going to be as good as they were last year. They still may win the division, but I think they're about what you saw last year is about what they are, about as good as you're going to hope. Mayfield, I would say you got to give him credit. This guy has been left for dead, and here he still is now. He's going to be now considered he's the franchise guy in Tampa. That's the problem, though. He's not gonna. He's not. He's still to me, definitely that notch below the elite quarterbacks. Funny enough, he got drafted in the same draft. Lamar, he got picked. Never forget it. Baker Mayfield got picked first. Lamar Jackson got picked 32nd. The last pick for Ozzie Newsome in the first round. So definitely like the Ravens in this one. Browns don't like us in this one. Interesting to see how Deshaun Watson is still. Is Deshaun Watson going to be at the helm? Is he going to be healthy enough? I actually am not as low as everybody else in the world is on Deshaun Watson. Um, I think he was actually starting to come around a little bit before the injury. He hadn't played football in 2 years. I mean, I don't care. Use a basketball example. I don't care how good of a shooter you are. If you haven't shot a ball in 2 years, you're not as good a shooter. And I think that's what's going on with Deshaun Watson. That's what the injury. He kind of played half a year. He still got to work his way in. We'll see. I still don't think they went on the road. I think their defense, weather's starting to get cold now in October. I definitely think Browns win that game. Um, Denver coming in. John Elway's rolling over in his grave, watching the Denver team. Bo Nix is going to start. You never know who's going to start, but Bo Nix is his should be their starter. They went and signed. They still had Jarrett Stidham, who was not a very good backup in New England, and they had Zach Wilson, definitely not a good backup in New York. Um, I don't. I don't see Denver having a shot in this game. I think Peyton is kind of. I would say this. He may have him a little bit on the right track. Better, probably the right decision to get Wilson out of there. I think what he did with that situation was instead of making this a 3-4 year build an issue, let's pull the band-aid off. So this year is the band-aid. We're gonna rip it off. We're gonna do the best we can, and then in 2025, I'm gonna have cap space. I'm gonna have more room. I'm gonna maybe have a more polished quarterback, whatever, and do that. I don't think this year in this game they go ahead and beat the Ravens. Ravens are successful. Ravens are going to be successful against Cincinnati. Historically, the last 3 years we've gotten this a home game against Cincinnati on a Thursday night. Historically, the Ravens have won it. This is going to be Amazon again, Prime Video, November game against the Bengals, and I like them. In this one, I think they should win a lot of their home games than the division. The Ravens have one of the best home records I think, in the NFL over the last 15, 20 years. So definitely, I do like them on a short week. Big advantage to the home team as well when you have that short week. Going into Pittsburgh, I'm not quite as sure, but I'm gonna give it to Steelers on the road. Um, I'm not sure how good the Squealers are. Russell should kind of like Tampa. You upgraded, but yeah, upgraded, but I think that's the best way you could put it. You've done better, but how much better are you? I don't know. I don't. You still probably have the worst quarter. Well, ain't no probably to it. You still maybe have the worst quarterback in the division. We don't know about Deshaun Watson. I mean, some people might say Deshaun Watson. You still defensively, I think you still have some work to do on the back end. Even though they did fix some of that, they did go ahead and draft offensive line. I think they're tough at home. I think the Ravens just don't play well. I think in Pittsburgh historically, so I don't think they win that game. I'm not sure they win this one either against the Monday night game against the Chargers. I like the Chargers. I think this is kind of looking in the mirror. Besides the fact that these guys are brothers, obviously, and they're the same dad, but um, they're basically going to build what the Ravens are doing. They're gonna. This is the one opponent already that knows everything about you, right? Even though they're an AFC West team, they know the front office is familiar. A lot of the ex Ravens are there. A lot of it's familiar, and I do think the Chargers are going to be more motivated than the Ravens in this game on the road. Um, on a Monday night. So I definitely think a lot of people watching this game. So definitely as well. Home against the Eagles. This is going to be a physical matchup. I like the Ravens against the Eagles. Hurts, we don't know, man. Um, I think the Hurts thing this year is, hey, look, they've given him everything he needs. Given him everything he needs. They've given him Jalen. They look. You got Saquon Barkley. They re-signed your receivers. Jason Kelsey did retire. They do have still a really good offensive line. I think the best tackle. You have everything you need. Offensively, I think they're pretty good. Defensively, they really slipped. Their corners, Lamar, if they don't get a lot better, Lamar's going to have a lot of fun with those guys all of a sudden. Darius Slay, who was pretty much, I had him as a top 10, was not good last year. Bradbury was not good either. They really didn't early in the draft. I don't know. I definitely don't think the Ravens are going to lose to the Eagles at home. So I like the Ravens there. Giants. Giants are going to lose this game. I don't think Daniel Jones is just that's just not going to work as far as against Lamar Jackson. I do think though they are better than what people think. I think this could be a bit of a trap game. Looking at the schedule, you're playing the Chargers, you're playing the Eagles, and then you're playing the Squealers after that. So it is a chance. I don't think their record will be good, and I think could be looking ahead. They're good enough to be attracting. Careful there, but they should win that game in New York. I think they beat the Squealers. They're not going to overlook the Squealers. You're not going to overlook the Squealers at home. I think the Squealers are absolutely. I think the Squealers are absolutely not as good of a team as the Ravens. I think at home the Ravens should take care of business. Russell's not good on the road, guys. The matter if it is, I think it still will be Russell Wilson. He's not good on the road. I think the Ravens will give him trouble. Russell's never done well against the Ravens either. If it is Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. So I definitely like them at home. I definitely like the Ravens at home. I'm going to take the Texans on the road here. Netflix. Hallelujah. Games on Netflix. I think the Texans are one of the better teams, I think, in the AFC. I think you got the Ravens, you got the Chiefs. I think you got Cincinnati, and I think the Texans are right there as far as one of the elite teams in the AFC. I like it when I wrote this game could be for playoff positioning and all that. Last game, always hard to predict. I think the Ravens had the better team at home. You never know how good the record is or what they are. It's unlikely 2 years in a row you'll get to do like they did last year, where you don't even need to play the game, where you can just go ahead and play backup, so as many as you can. I think they should win that 12-5 Ravens record. So I think 12-5. I think this is one of the better teams in the NFL again. One of the best records in the AFC for sure. We're going to do our preseason. Make sure we're going to kind of line up everybody. This is a good football team. I think there are issues that we do have. We are concerned about the offensive line for sure. Definitely, they're definitely going to have to work on the offensive line. Definitely going to have to work on that. Definitely, the receivers behind Zay Flowers. And Zay Flowers is still in the second year. Still hasn't had a big 1,000-yard season yet. So, some questions. You got Lamar Jackson. You got, I think, maybe the best defense in the league if you look at it. So definitely the Ravens absolutely feel good about their season.